G'day legends. At some point in every aspiring audio engineer's career, this question comes to mind. Do preamps really matter? Does having a special, expensive, fancy, boutique, standalone preamp really make that big of a difference compared to the preamps that are built into my audio interface? Is the quality of a special preamp like that really going to lift the sound of my sources and take them to the next level? So I want to put this to the test and find out firsthand. So I hit up the guys over at Warm Audio. I asked them if they were interested in sponsoring a video like this. And to my delight, they were happy to jump on board and they sent through a WA2MPX. This is a dual channel tube preamplifier. Now, just from that, you should think, all right, tubes. It's going to sound pretty good. So that's the hope, right? That running a sound through something like this, a tube preamp, we're going to get a bit of color, a bit of character, and a bit of flavor compared to running just straight through some clean preamps on an audio interface. That is the hope, right? Now, one of the really big things that you can do with a standalone preamp versus an audio interface is you can drive the input gain until you start to achieve some saturation. You can get some pretty heavy saturation, or you can just get some light saturation, which adds color, a bit of natural compression to the sound, and is quite desirable. Now, the reason you can do that on something like this versus an interface is that you can drive that input stage, get it really hot, and then you can back off the output stage and trim it so you're not actually clipping on the output. On an audio interface, you can only drive the input stage, and that's going to give you clean gain up until the point when you hit the ceiling and you start clipping the converters, which is digital clipping and is not desirable. So before I give you the full rundown of the specs on this unit, because it's very cool, we're going to jump into today's examples. So I've recorded a short song just using my interface preamps. Now what I've done is I've then sent them out through the WA2MPX, and I've used the line input to basically reamp through this preamp. And so what we're going to get at the end is we're going to be able to hear the difference between the interface preamps and what the WA2MPX has added, what a special boutique preamp has added to the sound. So now that you understand the setup for this video, let's listen to the full arrangement comparing the WA2MPX to the audio interface preamps and see what the difference is. Insomnia, my mind won't rest. I close my eyes and my heart beats fast, with anxiety and fearful of sleep. Those wasted hours make me feel guilty. The divide between reality and dreams is gone. I no longer know which side I'm on. The walls are closing in. I'm trapped and I can't breathe. Inside my own head, yeah. So that's a way bigger difference than I was actually expecting to hear. It sounds so much more alive. There's so much more depth to the sound. I'm actually quite blown away by the difference there. Now, I've never done a test like this before. I've just assumed preamps make things sound better, but hearing the comparison like that is night and day. It's pretty crazy. Now, you might be thinking, well, some of those sounds are a bit louder, but I actually did level match these and I made sure that the peak levels were definitely the same, because that's an important thing here, is that we can drive the input circuitry on this, like I said before, add saturation, particularly to the drums. You can hear the drums sound so much beefier in this. That's because they're getting that input drive, they're getting a bit of that tape sat circuitry that you get with this unit as well, and it just inflates the sound, but they're actually not any louder in peak volume. They're actually quieter in peak volume than the audio interface examples, but they sound bigger and fuller, which is, again, testament to having a great preamp. So let's solo some of these sounds out now and compare the difference between the audio interface preamps and the WA2MPX. First up, let's check out the drums. I took advantage of the tape saturation circuitry here as well as the tone switch. Check out the settings as they appear on the screen. So that's night and day. The drums are definitely one of those things that really benefit from having a quality preamp where you can drive it and add a bit of flavor to it. Kick sound are bigger, fatter, a bit more bloom to it. Snare, fatter, punchier. Floor tom, fatter, punchier. And the overheads were way more lively and there was a lot more sparkle to the cymbals. Let's check out the acoustic guitar. So the acoustic sounds lovely on both the audio interface and the WA2MPX using that WA-CX24 in a stereo configuration. Sounds awesome. Now, there's not as big a difference here because I'm not driving it super hard, but the tube preamps have definitely added a little bit of natural compression to the sound. It sounds a little bit denser. Let's check out the bass guitar. So with this one, I tracked it straight into the instrument input on my audio interface. Let's have a listen to the color and character added by the tube preamps. So it's no secret that driving your bass a little bit adds a ton of character to it and also helps it cut through the mix a lot better. So if I'm using bass on a preamp like this, I would absolutely use that tape saturation circuit like I had just then. And that was being kind of conservative. If you drive it even harder on that input stage with the tape saturation engaged, it gets really colorful and really gritty. But just that light amount of saturation that we're getting from it makes the bass again sound compressed, fuller, and a lot more colorful. Have a listen to the lead guitars. These were tracked through my Fender Twin Reverb with the WA19, just a single microphone. So to my ear, I can hear a definite lift in the clarity of the guitar when it's running through the WA2MPX. There's this little bit of extra grit and color to it, and the low mids are kind of cleaned up a little bit. I hear when we jump back to the SSL18 preamps, it sounds a little bit duller. So the tube preamps are definitely bringing some life to this. And lastly, let's check out vocals. This is one of those things where everyone will tell you to have a great preamp to use with your vocals. Let's see if we can hear enough difference between the SSL18 and running through the WA2MPX. Is it that big of a difference using a quality preamp on vocals? Insomnia, my mind won't rest. I close my eyes and my heart beats fast. With anxiety and fearful of sleep, those wasted hours make me feel guilty. The divide between reality and dreams is gone. I no longer know which side I'm on. Ooh, the walls are closing in. I'm trapped and I can't breathe. Ooh, it's claustrophobia inside my own head, yeah. I can really hear the vocals get cleaned up through the WA2 MPX, kind of like how I mentioned with the lead guitar. The low mids in the vocal, when they're going through the audio interface preamps, they sound a little bit woolly, a little bit muddy. There's something there that's not totally right that needs correcting. But once it goes through the WA2 MPX, I can hear that low mid is being saturated and pushed down into the vocal, but the tubes are also bringing out some excitement and air to the top end of the vocal, and it's just balancing it all out. The vocal actually sounds a lot more finished and a lot more polished after it passes through the tube preamps. So this video took a ton of work to do, to record a song through my audio interface and then reamp it all through here and then set up all these before and afters. It's a ton of work. So I really hope you guys appreciate it. And I really hope that you can hear the difference between these lots of preamps, because it's a big difference in my opinion. Sometimes it's small, like when we compare the acoustic guitar, the differences weren't that dramatic. But once you stack this stuff up across a full mix, the differences are night and day. It becomes very apparent what having a quality preamp can do to your production. So as you can hear guys, the WA2 MPX sounds really good. So let's talk about some of the specs on this unit. First of all, we have our input selector. We have three options: mic, line, and instrument. So the preamp gain adds a lot of the color to the sound. The harder you drive this, the more saturation and color you're going to add. And then you may need to trim the signal with the output level. In the center, we have our power switch, instrument input, perfect for plugging in something like a bass guitar, 48 volt phantom power. Our high gain switch engages the third tube in the WA2 MPX, which adds an extra 20 dBs of clean gain, perfect for low output microphones like dynamics and ribbons. Polarity switch. The tone switch changes the impedance of the preamp from 600 ohms to 150 ohms. 150 ohms is recommended for dynamics and ribbon mics, but you can definitely experiment with this, because just by flicking that switch, you'll achieve a very different tone out of your microphone. 80 Hz high pass filter, perfect for rolling off low end rumble in sounds that don't have much going on in the low end. 2 kHz low pass filter, perfect if you want to roll off the highs on a sound and make it a lot smoother sounding. And lastly, the tape sat switch, which engages some circuitry, which adds some tape style saturation to your source, natural compression, and harmonic distortion. Now I've also gone ahead and done a full mix for the song with the files that were processed through the WA2 MPX. This is what the final mix sounds like. My mind won't rest. I close my eyes and my heart beats fast. With anxiety and fearful of sleep, those wasted hours make me feel guilty. The divide between reality and dreams is gone. I no longer know which side I'm on. Walls are closing in. I'm trapped and I can't breathe. If you've been on the fence and thinking about whether you need to get a quality preamp for your studio, I definitely recommend checking out the WA MPX. This is a really nice unit. I particularly love it on vocals. I think it really sounds great on vocals. Used it on a couple of tracks recently and everyone was stoked. Even the artists on the microphones just commented about how good their voice sounded through it. So given the sound quality, the components included, and the price point of these units, I think they're a pretty good option. And if you want to support this channel, make sure you use the Sweetwater affiliate link in the description below anytime you need to purchase a piece of gear. A small commission comes back to the channel, doesn't cost you anything extra, but it's just a cool way of showing your support for the time that goes into making videos like this. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to support this channel in another way, make sure you check out my website. I've got some drum sample packs, mixing courses, and templates over there. Grabbing that stuff is a massive support. If you haven't checked out the WA CX24 yet, it is an awesome stereo tube microphone. You need to check out the demo I made for it in this next video coming up.